Welcome back. This is our community resource section, and tonight our guest is Alex Ellswick, who is a co-founder of Voices of Hope, Lexington, Kentucky. Now, simply, what is Voices of Hope? What do you do?
Sure. So we're a nonprofit organization here in central Kentucky, and our mission is to promote lifelong recovery from the chronic disease of addiction. So in short, what we do is take people who are in early recovery and we help them sustain their recovery over the long term.
And when you use the term addiction, addiction to what?
Substance use disorders will be the clinical term, so addiction to drugs and alcohol.
What's the most common drug that you see is a problem?
I think currently in the midst of the opioid epidemic, particularly in central Kentucky, it's opioids. So it's prescription pain pills like Oxycontin, and then heroin, fentanyl, things like that.
Give me some idea. We hear a lot on TV about the opioid problem. What kind of scope are we talking about here?
Yeah, so in 2016 alone, we lost 66,000 people to drug and alcohol overdose. And to put that in perspective, that's more Americans than we lost in the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Vietnam combined. It's on the scale of 175 Americans a day, which is like an airplane crashing every single day. So the magnitude of the problem is mind-blowing. Those are 2016 numbers. The 2017 numbers just came out and showed about 11.5% increase in overdose deaths. And
we'd like to think it's not here in central Kentucky, but it's here and it's everywhere.
Sure. Yeah, it's everywhere, and really when you look at a heat map of overdose deaths, the Appalachian region and most of the state of Kentucky is lit up.
So you have some programs. Tell me about them.
Sure. So our philosophy is to increase what's called recovery capital. And an easy way of understanding recovery capital is that it's all the resources that a person needs to recover from a substance use disorder, all the things they can leverage in their life. And so we have programs like telephone recovery support, where volunteers, many of whom are in recovery themselves, make weekly phone calls to people who are in recovery, simply to check in and say, how's your recovery going today? And how can I help you with your recovery? And what it does is create a social connection and emotional connection, keep people engaged in treatment. We provide scholarships for people who are in recovery, because for many people, going back to get their education, they experience a lot of barriers. We're piloting an employment program to help people fill gaps in their resume and to learn how to interview properly, because we know people who have substance use disorders oftentimes have criminal records by virtue of the fact that we've criminalized addiction, and so they find it difficult to go back and get jobs. And the program we're most excited about is we're on the verge in the coming month or two of opening a recovery community center, which is essentially, it's not a treatment center. We don't provide clinical services, but it's a community center for people in recovery to come and increase their recovery capital.
So if somebody wants to help or be a part of this or volunteer, are there ways that they can?
Absolutely. So the model for the Recovery Community Center is volunteer run. And so we have folks come and dedicate their time and, more importantly, dedicate their talents. So for instance, we have a young lady who is passionate about yoga, and she's going to donate 2 hours of free yoga classes a week at the center for people in recovery. So if anyone wants to get involved, wants to donate their time and their passion, they can go to voicesofhopelex.org and give us a shout, and we'd love to have people get involved.
And you're just mainly central Kentucky, Lexington?
Mainly central Kentucky.
Okay, well, that's great information, and it's a great thing you do. We appreciate you coming in, and thank you for the work that you do.
Thanks for having me.